too hard on him. He's a steady worker. I sure wish you'd show up.
Don't rush him.
Actors often leave a lasting impression on us with their performances, but their lives, behind the glamour, hold stories that are sometimes more fascinating than any script they ever read. After their passing, these stories often come to light, revealing who they truly were, what they endured, and the secrets they left behind. Welcome back to Cinematic Odyssey. In today's video, we'll uncover the untold truths about some of the most iconic actors. Stories from their childhoods, their rise to fame, their struggles, scandals, and ultimately, their legacies. Sometimes, it's only after they're gone that we truly understand the complexities of their lives. Let's dive in.
Heath Ledger.
When Heath Ledger passed away in 2008 at just 28 years old, the world mourned the loss of a once-in-a-generation talent. Known for his transformative performances, especially as the Joker in The Dark Knight, Heath's life and death left behind a story as layered and enigmatic as the characters he portrayed. By then, the Australian actor had already cemented his place in Hollywood, with standout performances in romantic classics like 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale. His career reached a significant turning point with his role in The Brokeback Mountain, 2005, a groundbreaking film where his portrayal of a closeted cowboy opposite Jake Gyllenhaal earned him widespread acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. However, it was Ledger's posthumous portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight, 2008, that defined his legacy. His chilling interpretation of the iconic villain, complete with smeared makeup, scarred features, and anarchic energy, shocked audiences. Speaking to Empire magazine, Ledger described the Joker as an absolute sociopath and admitted that preparing for the role pushed him to emotional extremes. He locked himself in a London hotel room and kept a journal to delve into the character's psyche, crafting a chaotic, nihilistic persona that terrified and fascinated viewers. Heath Ledger's journal, which he kept while preparing for his role as the Joker, revealed unsettling inspirations for his character, such as hyenas, clowns, comic strips, and even Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. His father, Kim Ledger, shared the journal after Heath's death and explained that Heath had isolated himself in a hotel for weeks to fully get into the Joker's disturbing mindset. He pretty well locked himself up in a hotel room for weeks. He galvanized the upcoming character. That was typical of Heath. He liked to dive into his characters, but this time, he really took it up a notch, Kim explained. One page in the diary had the words, "Bye-bye," written in large, messy letters, which was a sign of the emotional strain Heath was going through. Even though Heath finished his work on The Dark Knight in October 2007, he died before the film was fully edited. A coroner's report later determined that his death was caused by an accidental overdose of prescription drugs, including oxycodone and alprazolam. The combination of drugs, along with a possible chest infection, caused his breathing to stop. After Heath's death, director Christopher Nolan talked about how hard it was to finish the film. It was tremendously emotional. Right when he passed, having to go back in and look at him every day, Nolan said. But the truth is, I feel very lucky to have something productive to do, to have a performance that he was very, very proud of, and that he had entrusted to me to finish. Ledger's intense commitment to his craft earned him a posthumous Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, solidifying his place as one of the greatest talents of his generation. Chadwick Boseman.
To know that they love this film so much.
It's great, but I'm dead. So I can't answer any questions about that.
Chadwick Boseman, the beloved actor known for his iconic role as Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kept a major secret from the public for years: his cancer diagnosis. In 2016, shortly after his massive success with Black Panther, Chadwick was diagnosed with colon cancer. Born on November 29, 1976 in Anderson, South Carolina, Boseman was an American actor, producer, and playwright who gained worldwide fame for his portrayal of T'Challa, the Black Panther, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. His journey to success was marked by talent, perseverance, and a deep commitment to representing African American culture and history through his roles. Boseman's career began in television, where he appeared in small roles in series such as Third Watch, Law and Order, and the CSI NY. His big break came when he was cast as the legendary baseball player Jackie Robinson in the film 42, 2013, which chronicled Robinson's integration into Major League Baseball. Chadwick Boseman's career reached unprecedented heights when he was cast as T'Challa in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Introduced in the Captain America: Civil War 2016, T'Challa was a character whose story would culminate in the global phenomenon Black Panther 2018. Directed by Ryan Coogler, Black Panther was a groundbreaking film that celebrated African culture, history, and identity while showcasing Boseman's powerful performance as the King of Wakanda. The film's success was historic, grossing over $1.3 billion worldwide and becoming the first superhero film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Boseman's portrayal of T'Challa resonated with millions, particularly within the African diaspora. He was hailed as a cultural icon, and his character became a symbol of pride for Black audiences. What a lot of people didn't know is that he was diagnosed with colon cancer during the height of his career. He chose to keep his diagnosis private, continuing to work on major projects while undergoing treatments, including chemotherapy and surgeries. Throughout this period, he filmed Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War, and the Avengers: Endgame, with no indication to the public that he was struggling with a serious illness. Boseman's health declined in the years following his diagnosis, but he never let it interfere with his work. Chadwick Boseman tragically passed away on August 28, 2020, at the age of 43, after a private 4-year battle with colon cancer. His death came as a shock to the world, as he had kept his diagnosis and treatment largely hidden from the public. So, what can we learn from Chadwick Boseman? First, never give up on your dreams, no matter how hard things get. Second, use your platform to make a positive difference in the world. And third, always stay true to yourself, because that's what really matters in the end. Matthew Perry.
Hi, my name is Matthew, although you may know me by another name. My friends call me Maddie, and I should be dead.
Moving on to another beloved star, let's talk about Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry was born on August 19, 1969, in Williamstown, Massachusetts. His mom, Suzanne, was a Canadian journalist, and his dad, John Perry, was an actor. Growing up with famous parents, Matthew had a pretty unique childhood. He moved to Los Angeles with his mom when he was just a teenager, and that's when he really started focusing on acting. Now, fun fact, Matthew didn't always want to be an actor. He was super into tennis and even got pretty good at it. But after deciding to pursue acting, he quickly made his mark, landing roles in TV shows like Silver Spoons and Growing Pains. But it wasn't until 1994 that his career really exploded. In 1994, Matthew became part of Friends, the show that would define a generation. As Chandler Bing, Matthew brought humor, wit, and an unforgettable sense of awkwardness to TV screens. Friends quickly became a global sensation, and Matthew was now a household name. But here's the thing about Friends. While it made Matthew a star, it also came with a lot of pressure. His sudden death in October 2023 left fans reeling. At just 54 years old, the world was left to grapple with the tragic news that Perry had been found dead in his jacuzzi. The initial assumption? A drowning accident. But the truth? Even more horrifying. An autopsy revealed something no one saw coming: a ketamine overdose. This was a devastating blow, not just because of how he died, but because of what we later discovered about the life he led in private. For years, Perry had been vocal about his battles with addiction. But the shocking reality is that even after his apparent recovery, Perry's demons were far from over. In his 2022 memoir, Perry opened up about his struggles with drugs and alcohol, shedding light on the dark side of his career. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. Despite seeming like he was getting better, Perry's addiction didn't just vanish. In fact, sources close to him claim that in the years before his death, he was secretly using drugs again, and no one knew. His public appearances were a mask, an act, hiding the truth of what was really happening behind closed doors. Even worse, this wasn't just about the drugs. According to several anonymous sources, Perry's addiction led to terrifying behavior in his private life. There were accounts of violent altercations, one with his best friend who tried to intervene, and reports of disturbing relationships where Perry's behavior became unrecognizable. People who loved him were pushed away, and some even claimed they had to endure physical confrontations just to get him to face his issues. Even when he seemed happy and healthy, when he was going to meetings, helping others overcome their addictions, he was still hiding the truth. still using, and still spiraling. Matthew Perry's death is a brutal reminder that addiction doesn't just go away. It's a monster that can haunt you forever, no matter how hard you try to escape. His passing wasn't just tragic because we lost a beloved actor. It was a wake-up call. Elvis Presley.
About your love life. Did you meet anyone special in Germany?
Not any special one.
Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, remains one of the most iconic figures in music history. But his sudden and tragic death at the age of 42 in 1977 shocked the world. Found unconscious in his Graceland mansion, Presley was later declared dead from a heart attack, which many believe was influenced by his years of prescription drug use. Elvis's career began in 1954 when he recorded his first single at Sun Studio in Memphis. The song, That's All Right, marked the birth of a new sound, one that would forever change the landscape of music. He went on to sign with RCA Records, where his first big hit, Heartbreak Hotel, took the world by storm in 1956, propelling him into the limelight. With over 600 million units sold worldwide, Elvis Presley is still one of the best-selling solo artists in music history. Despite the outward glamour of his celebrity lifestyle, inside, Elvis was struggling with deep personal issues that only worsened over time. In the years leading up to his death, Presley's health and personal life took a sharp decline. He battled severe weight gain, depression, and a growing dependence on prescription medications. At the time of his death in 1977, Elvis was in serious financial trouble. The singer, whose music continues to generate millions annually, was reportedly millions of dollars in debt to the IRS. At the time of his passing, his net worth was said to be just $5 million, a far cry from the immense fortune that would accumulate in the years following his death. Much of Elvis's wealth was eaten up by the cost of maintaining his lavish home, Graceland, and ongoing business challenges with his record label and management. But it wasn't just expenses. There were also mounting tax issues that plagued the star. In 1981, the IRS reported that Presley's estate owed a staggering $14 million in back taxes, a financial burden that threatened to overshadow his legacy. While the estate's value was initially hit hard, Presley's name and likeness began to generate substantial revenue through licensing deals, allowing his legacy to grow even after his death. By 1989, his estate was valued at over $75 million, a massive increase. However, the Presley family continued to grapple with tax problems long after Elvis passed. Even his daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, struggled with her own tax debt. At the time of her death in 2023, reports indicated she owed the IRS $1.8 million. In fact, her own financial issues were mirrored by her daughter, Riley Keough, who faced legal trouble over unpaid taxes, with the state of California filing a lien against her for over $68,000 in 2023. Grace Kelly.
I've had many happy moments in my life, yes. I don't think being happy is a...
Next up, we turn the spotlight on an actress who epitomized elegance, grace, and mystery, Grace Kelly. Known for her poise on screen and her fairy tale marriage to Prince Rainier III of Monaco, Kelly's life seemed almost too perfect. But as we learned after her tragic passing, there were layers to her story that were hidden from the public eye. Grace Kelly was born in 1929 to a prominent family in Philadelphia, and from a young age, she was surrounded by a world of privilege and expectations. However, it was on the stage of the American theater that she first captured the world's attention. Despite an early interest in acting, Kelly initially pursued a career in modeling before landing her first big role in Hollywood. Her breakout performance came in 1952 in the film High Noon, which catapulted her to stardom. At just 26, Grace Kelly won an Academy Award for her performance in The Country Girlie, cementing her place among Hollywood's elite. But as we know, her story didn't end in Hollywood. In 1956, Kelly made headlines for a very different reason. She married Prince Rainier of Monaco, leaving behind her flourishing acting career for royal life. Though she became the Princess of Monaco, Grace Kelly's life was far from a fairy tale. Behind the scenes, she struggled with the demands of royal life, the media's constant scrutiny, and the challenge of balancing her identity as a princess with her desires as a woman and former actress. But it was only after her untimely death in 1982, following a car accident, that the full extent of her personal struggles came to light. Grace Kelly's life, though seemingly perfect on the outside, was filled with personal turmoil and challenges that many of us only came to understand after her death. One of the most poignant aspects of her life was her strained relationship with her mother, Margaret Major, a highly ambitious and controlling figure. Margaret was said to have pushed Grace into the spotlight from an early age, constantly setting high standards that made their bond complicated. Grace's decision to leave Hollywood behind was a turning point that not only impacted her career, but also her sense of identity. She had been at the height of her fame, yet the pressures of her royal duties left her feeling stifled and often isolated. Living under the constant scrutiny of the media, particularly in the 1950s when she married Prince Rainier, Grace found it difficult to reconcile her former life as an actress with her new role as a royal. It wasn't until after her tragic death in 1982, when an accident took her life far too soon, that we began to truly understand the challenges she faced in silence. Her tragic death at the age of 52 raised many questions. On the day of the crash, Grace and her daughter, Princess Stephanie, were driving back from their holiday home in Rock Eagle in a Rover P6 3500. The question of who was behind the wheel has sparked debate ever since. Some rumors suggest that Stephanie was driving even though she didn't have a driver's license, and some witnesses claim to have seen her driving. However, Stephanie has always denied this. Grace was known to dislike driving and had sworn off it after a previous crash, relying on a chauffeur. Yet on that day, Grace insisted on driving, possibly due to practical reasons, as the backseat was filled with boxes, leaving no room for the chauffeur. A witness later reported seeing the car swerving down the mountain at an alarming speed without skid marks, leading to speculation that the brakes might have failed. However, the manufacturer confirmed the car was equipped with a fail-safe brake system, raising questions about whether the driver might have confused the brake with the accelerator. Another theory is that Grace suffered a stroke while driving, which could explain her inability to control the car. Doctors later found that she had suffered 2 brain hemorrhages, one caused by the crash. However, the stroke theory is complicated by the fact that Grace was only 52, relatively young for a stroke victim, and conflicting reports about her health persisted. After the crash, the Monaco Palace initially downplayed the severity of Grace's injuries. It wasn't until she lost consciousness and was declared to have irreversible brain damage that her family decided to end life support. From the moment of her death, conspiracy theories, including one involving the mafia, began to spread, though Prince Rainier dismissed them as unfounded. Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
Cool.
It's just what I wanted.
Grazie. Now, why you not come?
Audrey Hepburn is remembered as one of Hollywood's brightest stars, a timeless icon of beauty and grace. But her legacy goes far beyond her classic roles in films like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Roman Holiday. Behind the scenes, Audrey was a woman of immense courage, compassion, and resilience, shaped by a tumultuous childhood and her extraordinary efforts during World War II. Audrey Hepburn was born on May 4, 1929, in Brussels, Belgium, to an aristocratic Dutch mother and a British father. Her early life seemed idyllic, but that changed drastically when her father abandoned the family when she was just 6 years old. This painful separation deeply affected her, as she later described his departure as one of the most traumatic events of her life. When World War II began, Audrey and her mother moved to the Netherlands, believing it would remain neutral. Instead, the country fell under Nazi occupation, and the once comfortable Hepburn family found themselves struggling to survive. During these years, Audrey's resilience and courage began to shine through. In her teenage years, Audrey played a covert role in the Dutch resistance, an aspect of her life she rarely spoke about publicly. She used her passion for dance to support the cause, performing in underground Black evenings, secret events aimed at raising funds for refugees and resistance efforts. These performances were dangerous, as they were banned by the Nazis, but Audrey's determination to help others outweighed the risks. Her contributions didn't stop there. Audrey also acted as a courier for the resistance, delivering messages and supplies, and even assisted Allied pilots who had been shot down, helping them navigate occupied territory. She carried maps, money, and vital information, all while evading Nazi detection. Hepburn later admitted in interviews that these experiences had a profound impact on her. The hardships she witnessed, including the starvation and suffering of others, deeply influenced her outlook on life. She once reflected, "I experienced so much firsthand. It forever changed me." After the war, Audrey pursued her love of ballet, training in London with the hopes of becoming a professional dancer. However, she was told her height and malnourishment during the war years would hinder her ballet career. Undeterred, Audrey turned to acting and modeling, and soon found herself on the path to stardom. Her breakout role in Roman Holiday, 1953, earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress, making her an overnight sensation. Audrey's charm, elegance, and undeniable talent captivated audiences worldwide. She went on to star in iconic films such as Breakfast at Tiffany's, My Fair Lady, and Sabrina, solidifying her place as one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Audrey's experiences during the war left her with a profound sense of empathy and compassion. In her later years, she channeled this into humanitarian work, becoming a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. Audrey traveled to some of the world's most impoverished and war-torn regions, advocating for children in need. She visited famine-stricken areas in Ethiopia, Bangladesh, and Sudan, bringing global attention to their plight. Her work earned her numerous accolades, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In her final years, Audrey described her humanitarian work as the most rewarding part of her life. "I feel privileged to have the opportunity to make a difference," she said. Audrey Hepburn passed away on January 20th, 1993, at the age of 63, after a battle with cancer. While the world mourned the loss of a Hollywood legend, it also celebrated the life of a woman who embodied grace, resilience, and selflessness. So, Joan Crawford.
Grown men.
Why, Joan, you don't think Jack and I take advantage of a situation like this?
Are you kidding?
Joan Crawford, one of the brightest stars of Hollywood's golden age, left behind a legacy of undeniable talent and captivating charisma. Known for her dynamic performances in classics like Mildred Pierce, which earned her an Academy Award, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Crawford's career was defined by resilience and reinvention. She dazzled audiences for decades, but behind the glitz and glamour lay a far more complicated personal story, one that would overshadow her career after her death in 1977. In 1978, just a year after her passing, the publication of Mommy Dearest by Crawford's eldest adopted daughter, Christina, sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The memoir painted Joan Crawford not as the beloved screen legend, but as a tyrannical, abusive mother. Christina alleged that Joan's need for control and perfection extended to her parenting, creating a home environment filled with fear and cruelty. She accused Joan of severe punishments, such as beating her with a wire hanger, a moment famously dramatized in the 1981 film adaptation of Mommy Dearest. The memoir sparked an uproar. Fans of Crawford were appalled, while others sympathized with Christina's harrowing account. Adding fuel to the fire, Christina's brother, Christopher, backed many of her claims, describing their childhood as a nightmare. However, the accusations didn't go uncontested. Joan's younger twin daughters, Kathy and Cindy, disputed the stories, maintaining that their mother was strict but loving and never abusive. The revelations turned Joan Crawford into a polarizing figure. Supporters of Christina argue the memoir sheds light on the darker side of a Hollywood obsessed with image, where personal struggles were buried beneath a facade of perfection. Critics, however, have questioned Christina's motives, suggesting that the memoir was exaggerated or financially motivated. Even before Mommy Dearest, Crawford's life was marked by contrasts. Born Lucille Fay Lesueur, Joan rose from humble beginnings in Texas to become one of Hollywood's highest-paid stars. Her early years, marked by poverty and a fraught relationship with her mother, shaped the ambition that drove her to fame. In her professional life, she fought hard to maintain her stardom in an industry that often discarded aging actresses. But in her personal life, that same ambition may have contributed to the turmoil her children described. Joan's reputation further suffered when the film adaptation of Mommy Dearest, starring Faye Dunaway, turned her alleged misdeeds into a dramatic spectacle. While the film became a cult classic, its portrayal of Joan as an unhinged disciplinarian overshadowed her cinematic achievements. Faye Dunaway later expressed regret about taking on the role, noting that it reduced Crawford's complex personality to a single monstrous caricature. Today, Joan Crawford's legacy is a blend of brilliance and controversy. As a performer, she remains one of the most accomplished actresses in film history. Her contributions to Hollywood, her dedication to her craft, and her ability to stay relevant in a changing industry are undeniable. Yet the shadow of Mommy Dearest looms large, challenging how we remember her. Robin Williams.
I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow.
How exciting.
Robin Williams, one of the most beloved actors and comedians of his generation, brought joy to millions through his iconic roles in Mrs. Doubtfire, Good Will Hunting, Aladdin, and Dead Poets Society. His ability to shift seamlessly between humor and heartfelt emotion made him a favorite across generations. But in August 2014, the world was shocked and devastated by the news of his death by suicide at the age of 63. The initial narrative surrounding Williams's death focused on his struggles with depression, substance abuse, and the so-called sad clown trope, where a performer's public joy masks private pain. While these struggles were part of Williams's life story, they did not tell the whole truth. As his widow, Susan Schneider Williams revealed later, Robin's passing was not solely due to depression, but to an undiagnosed condition that had taken a devastating toll on his mind and body: Lewy body dementia. Lewy body dementia, LBD, is a rare neurodegenerative disease that affects cognition, mood, and motor control. It is one of the most misdiagnosed brain diseases due to its complex symptoms, which can resemble Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and mental health conditions. For Robin Williams, the disease caused dramatic mood swings, confusion, paranoia, and physical difficulties. Despite seeking medical answers, the true cause of his symptoms was not identified until an autopsy was performed. Williams' wife later revealed that in the months leading up to his death, he had been grappling with terrifying cognitive issues and hallucinations. These symptoms profoundly affected his ability to work, and the quick-witted humor that had defined his career began to slip away. Friends and colleagues noticed his struggles, but none could have imagined the invisible battle he was fighting. In a posthumous diagnosis, doctors discovered that Williams' brain had been ravaged by LBD, describing it as one of the worst cases they had ever seen. This explained why treatments for depression and Parkinson's symptoms had been ineffective. The disease had progressed rapidly, leaving Williams confused, frightened, and unable to reconcile what was happening to him. Susan Schneider Williams later spoke about her husband's battle in the documentary Robin's Wish, aiming to raise awareness about Lewy body dementia and the havoc it wreaks on individuals and their loved ones. She emphasized that Robin's suicide was not a decision born of despair, but an act influenced by a disease that had profoundly altered his brain. The revelation of Williams's undiagnosed dementia reframes his tragic story. It highlights the need for better understanding and treatment of complex neurological conditions. For fans, it was a heartbreaking reminder that even those who bring light to others can suffer in unimaginable ways. Actors are more than their roles. Their lives, filled with triumphs, tragedies, and untold stories, continue to inspire us. Even after they're gone, they leave behind legacies that remind us of the beauty and complexity of the human experience. Who inspired you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to uncover more untold stories about the lives of the world's most fascinating stars. See you in the next video.